All right, Larry Krueger here at Levi's Stadium for the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little update on everything that happened down here in 49er land on a Wednesday. And, of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And we're also brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles, 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, on the Monterey Peninsula. Go talk to my friend Anthony Catania. He's at 831-521-5264 for all your sports cards and collectible needs. Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. All right, we're down here in Santa Clara. Niners practicing, getting ready to take on the Chicago Bears Sunday at Levi's, desperately needing a win. There's 5 games left. The Niners are 5-7. They realistically need to run the table if they want to make sure that they go to the playoffs at 10-7. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. Kyle Shanahan said, "I don't take losing well," and I think he means it. But as far as out today, Aaron Banks remains out with the concussion protocol. Trent Williams also is out. J.P. Mason's out and headed towards the IR. Bosa is out. Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles is out. All those injuries. Flanagan-Fowles, I think, has got a knee. Bosa's got a hip and an oblique. J.P. Mason with the high ankle sprain. Trent with the ankle. Banks with the concussion. Those guys are out. Now, Demo Lenore is limited. Greenlaw was limited. Hafanga, who had his practice, 21-day practice window open today, he also was limited today at practice. As far as, some other guys on injury notes, Kevin Givens is headed to the IR. He tore his pec. He played 185 snaps this season, so Givens' season comes to an end. Patrick Taylor promoted to the active roster. CMC put on the IR. Keyshawn Vaughn signed to the practice squad. And so there you go. And Brock Purdy and Jordan Elliott both are full go. Purdy with the shoulder, Jordan Elliott with the concussion. Those guys were full go today at practice. All right, let's hear from Kyle Shanahan. There was a number of interesting Kyle answers today. One, the Niners picked up Izzy Abanikanda from the New York Jets off waivers. This guy runs in the 4.3s. He's a 4.3 guy at 215 pounds. I really liked him in the draft. Shanahan was asked about him today. He said he really liked him in the draft. Here is Shanahan on the newest 49er, Izzy Abanikanda.
What do you know about your new running back, Israel Abanikanda? What do you like about him?
I liked him coming out of college. I haven't studied him a ton in the NFL, but he was a guy that I had good notes on from college and liked. And, and I know our scouting department thought he was the best guy out there being available and stuff. So in our situation especially, glad to get him here.
Was he one of the running backs that Bobby was onto in the 23 draft doing the phone calls and things like that?
If Bobby's on every single one. So, yes, definitely.
There you go, a little bit of Shanahan on Izzy. Shanahan was asked about Isaac Guerendo, and he said, he's ready. He's ready to go. He's ready for this opportunity. He's getting better. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. They got a lot of enthusiasm about Guerendo. Here's Kyle on the rookie running back, Isaac Guerendo.
What kind of growth have you seen from Isaac Guerendo this year, and what's kind of his state of readiness for an expanded role?
I think he's ready to go. We were excited about, he got off to a late start with injuries in preseason. I thought he finished in those games well, especially that kick return, he had versus the Raiders, I think. Did some decent things when he started out, didn't get a lot of carries, had some ups and downs, but got better through everything. And then when he got the bulk of the carries, I want to say some more versus Seattle, he only got better, and he's got better throughout the year, so I think he's ready for this.
Specific things that you've seen from him? That is it just maybe getting the reps or getting the snaps?
I think just the urgency of running the ball in the NFL. I think it takes guys some time. You start to get a feel for it. The more, if you got the right stuff, the more you get reps, the more you can adjust to it. How hard you got to hit stuff, how quick those holes close, how when there is a hole, how you have to hit at full speed and can't hesitate at all, or it closes like that. So we've seen that stuff get better in practice, and we've seen it carry over to games.
His background includes in high school as being a wide receiver. Does he have hands, the good receiving skills that you've seen?
Yeah, he can catch it.
And then, later in the presser, I asked Kyle, hey, Kyle, let's talk a little bit about this Bears defense. You got Jervon Dexter up front. You got some really good young players on the back end. Montez Sweat coming off the edge. And I asked Kyle what he thought of this Bears defense, and here's what he had to say. What stands out about the Bears defense when you watch them?
I mean, I think they're a real good defense. You know, I think how good they are in the red zone. I think they're ranked number 2 in the red zone. I think they're top 5 at getting turnovers. I think they're top 5 on third down. It's, you know, when they're top 5 in getting turnovers in their offense, I think it's number 1 at not giving up turnovers. It's usually a really good formula for winning. You look at their team as a whole. They started out 4-2. They went on a bye. They lost the next game on a Hail Mary versus a good team in Washington, which, you know, so you'd like to say they should have been 5-2. And the next 5 games after that, you know, they got blown out 2 after that. But these last 3 games, they played as good as any team in the league, playing Minnesota, Green Bay, and Detroit, losing by a total of 7 points. So I see a defense that is capable of being a playoff defense. They played like it all year. They've just come up short here in these last 5 games.
And the last Kyle cut that we're going to use is, you know, Kyle was asked by Eric Branch, hey, you know, there's a lot of coaches that get kind of short with the media after they lose and they're unhappy. And he's like, you always seem like you take the time with the media. Where does that come from? Is that a philosophy that was born out from your father? You know, how do you have that philosophy, and what is your media philosophy? Kyle, this is what Kyle had to say about that.
But you're not a bad loser. I mean, you may be a bad loser, but in public, in press conferences, you answer the questions. Not every coach does that. And like after Green Bay, you're like, any more questions? And most coaches are like, is that your dad, or is that just you as far as how you're supposed to handle things?
I don't know. That's just how I am. I answer questions. I'm not a good, I don't make stuff up, so I try to answer your guys' questions, especially if it's not a stupid question. Sometimes I struggle with ones that I don't understand. Forgive me if I think they're stupid. They might not be. I just don't understand them all, but that's how I do press conferences. I answer the questions. So I always try to do that without hurting our own team, and that's really about as simple as I keep it. But no, I don't take losing well, but I'm not showing you guys how I deal with my life in these 8 great minutes.
So there you go, a little bit of Kyle Shanahan from earlier today down here in Santa Clara. He was asked about Ricky Pearsall, and he says Ricky's a little banged up coming out of the Green Bay game. You know, the bottom line is he's run a bunch of routes and he hasn't gotten open, or if he has gotten open, he hasn't touched the ball. If he has touched the ball, he hasn't made plays. You know, he just hasn't given the Niners a lot for the fact that he was a first-round draft choice. But it sounds like Ricky is a full go this week, even though he was banged up in Green Bay. You know, he was a full go last week against Buffalo, though maybe he wasn't 100%, and he's going to be a full go this week against the Bears. He's not listed on the injury report, but Kyle said that he got kind of beat up in the Green Bay game. As far as Christian McCaffrey, Kyle said, hey, it's just not his year. He's disappointed. And he admitted that if the Niners somehow could make the playoffs, it's possible Christian could come back. As far as Bosa, does Bosa have a chance to return this year? He said, you know, Bosa's got a chance to play this week. So he definitely has a chance to play later on this year. He was asked about, do the Niners have any trade deadline regrets, the fact that they didn't really get anything done at the trade deadline. And he's like, no. You know, I think the 49ers, realistically, you know, I don't think they felt like they had any money to spend. And I don't know how much they really believed that they were one player away. You know, I think they kind of saw this for what it was and didn't feel like they wanted to deplete their draft capital in a year where they're going to have to pay Brock Purdy just to get a little bit better in one area. I think, you know, without talking to Lynch or Shanahan, I would guess that was their thinking at the trade deadline. But Shanahan said no regrets that they didn't do more at the trade deadline. Kyle was asked about the run defense and, you know, why is the run defense such a problem? And he's like, yeah, it's just not good enough. He's like, well, guys are getting out of their gaps. Guys are getting moved around. You have missed assignments. You have guys, you know, you're not turning the ball over. You're not taking it away. I mean, he just basically told us what's happening, but we can see what's happening. He didn't have any answers as to why it's happening or how it can stop happening. Bottom line is you lose Azeez Al-Shaair and Dre Greenlaw and replace them with Devondre Campbell and Demetrius Flanagan Fowles. There you go. That's it right there. I mean, that's what you're seeing. As far as Juwan Jennings, you know, he was asked about Juwan Jennings, and he said, you know, he's an emotional dude. You know, someone said, hey, Juwan's not even talking to us after games. And he's like, oh, Kyle's like, I didn't even know that. He's like, could I do that? We all laughed. But, yeah, he just said, hey, Juwan's an emotional dude. I'll tell you what the story is there. I'll answer for Kyle on that one. Why is Juwan Jennings basically flipping the bird to the media? Because Juwan Jennings shows up for the win. That's what motivates him. That's why he plays, for the win. The win is a team concept. When you don't win and he's played well, he understands that the dialogue at the locker is going to be about, man, Juwan, you're great. He doesn't want to talk about that. Guys don't want to talk about what they did. And they definitely don't want to talk about what they did in a loss. And they definitely don't want to question their teammates. And that is going to be question number 1, 2, and 3 after any of these victory or losses where the team doesn't play well. It's going to be questions about why the team didn't play well. He doesn't want to be a spokesman for the team on that front. It's going to be, hey, Juwan, you played well. He doesn't want to talk about, him in a positive light in the middle of a locker room that's somber. And, he doesn't want to point the finger at his teammates. He doesn't, so it's just, he doesn't want to talk after a loss because, especially if, he's played well in a lot of these losses. And it's like, hey, you played great, but your team didn't play good enough. And it's like, he doesn't want to go down that road. And I don't blame him. It's not a road I'd want to go down either. As far as Kyle was asked to evaluate Brock Purdy's play, and he's like, hey, the fumble is never a good play. It's never a positive play, but overall he likes the way that Brock is playing, and he pretty much said as much. As far as Ben Barch has been getting good reviews for how he played at left guard. He only allowed 1 pressure on 24 pass rush snaps, so definitely a good day for Ben Barch out there. The Niners, by the way, are the first defending conference champion since the AFL-NFL merger to lose consecutive games by 25-plus points. I saw Nick Wagner had that on his Twitter, and I thought that was an interesting stat. Ronnie Bell, one more transaction. He goes from cut to re-signed to the practice squad. So Ronnie Bell's now on the practice squad. And so there you go. That is pretty much the rundown that everything that happened down here in Santa Clara. 49ers getting ready to take on the Bears on Sunday, badly needing a win. And they got to get it. They just got to get it. It doesn't matter what it looks like. They just got to get a win. Doesn't matter if it's a close win or a blowout win, if it's a low-scoring game or a high-scoring game, if they win because of special teams, defense, if they win because of their offense, it doesn't matter. You just got to win. You just got to win. All right, thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles for sponsoring this video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for sponsoring The Krug Show. Thanks to all of you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.